All right, we are going to get into part 2 of chapter 12 review. So let's look at number 10. Number 10 says, look at this group of pattern blocks. Now I have pattern blocks over here to the right. And it says, part A, sort the pattern blocks by sides. So if we're looking at sides, we can look at number of sides. We can look at length of sides. We can do it a couple of different ways. And there are a couple options here. First, I might try all sides have the same length. That would include these 5 shapes here. These 5 shapes could be categorized into one where all sides are equal length, because each one of these has equal length sides. This is an equilateral triangle. We have a regular hexagon. We have 3 quadrilaterals, a square, and 2 rhombi. Each of all of these have same length. This one does not have the same length sides, this trapezoid. However, we could also look at these a little bit differently. We could sort them into the number of sides they have. That way we could put these guys in a group. These would all be quadrilaterals. They would all have 4 sides to them, and these would not be quadrilaterals, these polygons here. Here we have 6 sides and 3 sides. All of these have 4. So there's one way, or 2 different ways to sort by the number of sides. Part B asks to sort by angles, and we could do that with these shapes have right angles and these shapes do not have right angles. We could also do shapes that appear to have angles larger than 90 degrees. These seem to have shapes that are, these shapes have angles that are bigger than 90 degrees. This shape right, this angle right here would be bigger than 90. This would be larger than 90. And this angle would be larger than 90. And these would be 90 degrees or less. So these would be less than 90 degrees. This one actually might even be a separate category because it has only right angles. Whereas this at least has one angle less than 90. So there's 2 different ways to sort these. And you would just explain how you did it. Which choice of the ones I showed you did you do? Okay, putting those to the side, let's continue on with number 11. Tessa drew a quadrilateral that had 4 sides of equal length and no right angles. What quadrilateral did she draw? Well, here is a quadrilateral that has 4 sides, except all of them are equal, but it has 4 right angles. That does not qualify. Here is a quadrilateral with 4 sides of equal length, and there are no right angles. Here is another one that also has 4 equal sides with no right angles. What is the difference between these 2 shapes and this shape? They all have the same length sides, but in this case, these are rhombuses, and this is a square, which is a rhombus, but it is a special rhombus that has the right angles. So she drew a rhombus, specifically not a square. Okay, continuing on. Number 12. Rhea used a Venn diagram to sort shapes. What label could she use for circle A? Remember, we are looking at 2 completely different circles. We're going to look at the green circle, and we are going to look at the blue circle. Here we have green, and here we have blue. The overlap is here in the middle, and she wants to know what could she use for circle A. Here we have polygons with all sides of equal length. Let's take a look at what specifically is in just the green circle. So if I erase this part here, what is it that is in common with all of these only? And it appears that these all seem to have a right angle. So I would be able to say shapes with right angles, because all of these have a right angle. Not looking at that one, just looking at these right there. Okay. As we continue onward to 13, Colette drew lines to divide a rectangle into equal parts that represent 1/6 of the whole area. Her first line is shown. Draw lines to complete Collette's model. Well, if we're trying to show sixths, there are two ways to do this. The easiest way is to divide 3 lines into thirds here with 2 lines. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. I now have sixths. 1/6 each one. Again, this could be done another way. You have to be careful. But we could split this into 2 equal parts and this into 2 equal lines to 3 parts. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts here all the way down. That is another possibility with the line that was drawn first. For argument's sake, the easiest thing to do is just draw 2 lines, divide this into 3 equal sections with a line splitting the middle, and now you have your 6th parts. Okay. Brad drew a quadrilateral. Select the pairs of sides that appear to be parallel. Mark all that apply. Okay, so in this case, which lines appear to be parallel? Remember, those are railroad tracks. They go side by side. They never touch each other. Well, in this case, I'm going to draw green to show those look like they will never touch. And I will draw some pink lines, specifically a different color. And those lines appear to never touch. So in this case, C and A appear to be parallel, and B and D appear to be parallel. Should do that in green to make it more specific for you. Those two are the ones that are parallel, B and D, and C and A. A and B are not. They make a acute angle, and D and C also make another acute angle. And let's turn on to the last bits here. Number 15. Give 2 reasons that this shape is not a polygon. Okay, so it should be very clear that this is an open shape. Open shape cannot be a polygon. And what is another reason this could not be? It is not straight sides. It does not have straight sides. It has curves. It has curved sides. And we know polygons must be straight-sided. They must be closed. That is 2 reasons that this shell shape cannot be a polygon. Okay. Number 16 says a triangle has one angle greater than a right angle. What must be true about the other angles? So let's draw a triangle in which one angle is greater than a right angle. So this would be a right angle straight up and down. I'm going to kind of make sure that I see, and I'm going to then complete the triangle. So testing it out is a good way to go. At least one must be less than a right angle. Well, I see at least right here, I see less than a right angle. If one is big, then it looks like the other 2 are going to be less than right angles. And actually, a little bonus right here for some of you math monsters, we know a right angle is 90 degrees. And we know that all angles inside of a triangle equal 180 degrees. That's a little, I'm not sure if I mentioned that before, but all angles total in a triangle equal 180 degrees. So once we have a 90 degree or bigger than 90, we can't have a second bigger than 90 degree. So at least one angle must be less than a right angle. That is true for sure. One could be a right angle. Well, if we have something bigger than 90 degrees, we cannot have one be bigger than a right angle in the same triangle. You either have a right angle, so you either have a right angle, or you have an obtuse angle. You cannot have both in a triangle. That will not work. So you can either have one or the other. So if one is a right angle, then the other one cannot be obtuse. And if you have an obtuse angle bigger than 90 degrees, then the other cannot be a right angle. Okay, So let's just look here. Both must be less than a right angle. Yes, both must be less than the other angles. Both must be less than a right angle. And one must be greater than a right angle. No, that cannot be, because, again, we cannot have two obtuse angles in a triangle. It will not work. That was a little bit of a tricky question because they did not go into the information that you would most likely need for that to answer those in this session during chapter 12. But now you are smarter than a third grader. So good for you. Number 17, Ava drew a quadrilateral with two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. The shape has at least two right angles. Draw a shape that Ava could have drawn. Okay, two pairs of opposite sides, and the shape has at least two right angles. Well, if it's going to have opposite sides that are parallel, we know they have to be never going to touch each other. And in this case, to be parallel, they're going to have to be the same size. So she is drawing either a rectangle or a square. Both of these will fit the bill that say two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. These are parallel to each other. These are parallel to each other. So opposite sides are parallel. And these have right angles. That's the part that I needed. If I had a rhombus like this one here, I have opposite sides that are parallel, but I do not have the right angle. And it says at least two right angles. Well, actually, you're going to have all four right angles in this case. You can't just have two right angles. You might be thinking I could draw a trapezoid, which would also work. A trapezoid is a good one. It has two right angles, but it only has one pair of parallel sides. These guys are not parallel. This line would go like this line would go like this, and they would crash into each other up here somewhere. So that's not going to work. In number 17, it has to be either a rectangle or a square. Our last question to finish up, number 18. Select true or false for each description. Let's take a look. Right here we have a ray. All right, we have it going in one direction. So, true or false? Is it straight? True. It is going in one direction. It is a straight shape for this ray. It has two endpoints. I see one endpoint here, and I see it going forever in another direction. So it only has one endpoint. That is false. It is part of a line. Well, gotta tell you, this is a funky question. And since I don't have my teacher's manual here, I'm going to give you my reasons. It is part of a line because if I continued this on forever in the opposite direction, then this point would be on that line. So is it part of an actual line? Technically, yes. But I would say in this case, they are probably saying no because they didn't draw the other side of the line for you. But geometrically, this ray could very easily be part of a longer line. But I'm going to say false for this one. Lastly, it continues in one direction. That is definitely true. It starts at the end point and goes on in one direction. And with that, we conclude chapter 12, and you are hopefully ready for your test in the near future. Good luck.